Okay, so I'll just time this, I think, so I don't go over, so just bear with me and we can get started. Okay, so this meditation, hello, is going to be called the open heart meditation. And I think it occurs in week 6 of the Breathworks Managing Pain and Illness sort of Mindfulness for Health course. So that's where I've got it from. Okay. So settling down into your chosen posture or position. Obviously, everyone can mute. If they could mute their microphones, that would be fab. Thank you. Just allowing yourself to arrive. If you can't hear me, just somebody do say, and I'll speak louder and get nearer the laptop. Okay, so just settling down and arriving, feeling that surface supporting you, be it the chair, the sofa, the floor. And really allowing those points of contact to sink down. And just allow your attention just to settle onto those points of contacts. So that might be the back of your head, if you're lying like me, the back of your body, your shoulders, your middle back, your lower back, buttocks, legs and feet. If you're sitting, that would be your buttocks on the chair, your feet on the floor. And gradually becoming aware of the breath. So where can you feel the breath in your body most vividly? Perhaps you can feel it in your chest, your rib cage gently expanding and contracting. Maybe you can feel it in the sides of your body, where your arms are sort of resting against your sides as your chest expands and contracts. Maybe in the back of your body, if you're lying, or back against the chair. Or maybe in the abdomen, as your diaphragm rises and falls. And now expanding your attention to the whole of your body and the whole of your breath. And maybe seeing if you can sense that breath in the edges of your body. Are there any gentle, subtle movements of the breath there? And now, as you settle down, you arrive. Perhaps you might become aware of some sensations or some feelings that might not be comfortable. There might be a degree of discomfort or pain in your body somewhere. Or there might be like an emotional tone maybe a feeling of sadness or irritation. Or maybe your mind's just whizzing. Can't control your thoughts, they still seem really fast and speedy. So just allowing your awareness just to let these experiences in, and just to let them be. So we're not battling to push away or resist. We're just softening, allowing ourselves to soften, using the kindly breath, that anchor that's there within us, to perhaps massage and soothe and calm us, calm any feelings of pain or distress or discomfort. And if we find we are still resisting, we're still pushing, then bathing that in some kindly awareness and a kindly breath. So now, having focused in on, I suppose you could say, negative experiences, if we're going to label things, now let's sensitize ourselves to the more pleasant things within us. Are there any subtle pleasant sensations perhaps in the body? I know I can feel my top sort of gently stroking my skin as I breathe in and out. That feels pleasant. Perhaps just the breath, becoming aware of the breath. A rhythmic, soothing, comforting breath. Perhaps it's just like an emotional sense of pleasure. You're just giving yourself this time just to be here. Really looking after yourself, carving out this time in your day. So just resting with those pleasant sensations or feelings or emotions. Just really allowing yourself to savor them. And then, as if we focused in on the negative or the unpleasant and the pleasant with a camera, sort of close lens of awareness. Imagine pulling that lens back now, pulling it right back and opening up that aperture. So we're now going to let in more information. And we're going to allow space for both the pleasant and the unpleasant. Big, broad, and expansive container. There's space for everything. So feelings, sensations, thoughts, clinging to none of them, pushing none of them away. allowing space, movement, change. Perhaps if you find imagery helpful, you could imagine your awareness being like a sleek yacht, sleekly cutting through the ocean. A yacht which has ballast and depth, and a tall mast for a sense of perspective. So if we react to every single positive and negative experience, we're more like a dinghy, sort of being thrown about in the waves on the ocean. But if we can learn to pull back and respond, have more sense of choice, we can be like that yacht, which has depth and perspective, stable overview, perspective of the whole of the ocean, an ocean of insight. So as I bring this meditation to an end, just perhaps like the ocean is saturated with salt, imagining our breath to be saturated with kindliness and tenderness and compassion towards ourselves. So breathing in kindliness and tenderness, compassion, saturating the body with these qualities. And then breathing out kindliness, tenderness and compassion, allowing these qualities to sink deeper in. So breathing in tenderness and kindliness, and breathing out tenderness and kindliness. And then gradually becoming aware of the weight of your body, those contact points. Maybe introducing some movements, some small movements, some wiggling of the toes or some opening and closing of the hands, opening your eyes, just coming back into that space around you. Perhaps forming an intention to take this pliable and open, kindly awareness into the rest of your day. Okay, so we're now going to do the second part of the session. It's actually going to be some mindful movement. So let's just take this a minute or so just to set up, maybe have a glass of water or whatever you need to do, and I'll just rearrange my space. Okay, so you can do these mindful movements either standing or sitting. I'll just move you back a bit. There we go. I'm probably going to perch on a stool now. Okay, so just finding your chosen location. Be it standing or sitting. And just before we start, I think I'm just going to do a little bit of a recap or a reminder as to what mindful movement actually is. Because I think a lot of people can conflate it or confuse it with exercise. And actually, it's not exercise. It's just a meditation, really. We're just introducing some movement. So the way I like to think about it is that our body is moving anyway. It's moving with the breath. It's moving with all the bodily processes. For those of you who are standing, and for me even perching here, I'm constantly having to sort of balance myself like sort of building blocks. So just to stay upright, you know, we're doing sort of micro movements all the time. So yeah, I suppose I just see mindful movement as an extension of those movements, an extension of the breath. So yeah, just if you're standing, allowing your body to feel supported by your feet on the ground, the earth below you, allowing your spine to feel relaxed, but your body to feel sort of poised and alert. So we're not slumping, but equally we're not doing what I call the sergeant major, which is that sort of overextension of the spine. We're just sort of resting in a poised and a balanced kind of way. And then I'm going to be using two terms, I'm sure you've heard of them before, but the idea of a soft and a hard edge. So when we do these movements, the soft edge would be basically barely registering the movement. So I'm opening and closing my hand. So it literally would be like that. I can barely my brain isn't really registering much going on. And the hard edge of that movement would be a real forcing. So we're in the sort of Jane Fonda, let's work it type mindset. So what we're aiming to do with mindful movement is to be somewhere between those two sort of extremes. So in between the hard and the soft edge. So I'm going to demonstrate the first movement. And what I find interesting here, the few times that I've done some mindful movement before with people, is that often people jump in. They want to do the movement straight away. So I always see this as a great opportunity to inhibit that response or that reaction, if you like, and just be aware of what you might feel in your body when you're watching me do the movement, and you might want to do it, but you're having to put that brake on. So I'll just demonstrate the first movement. So the first movement is a simple wrist rotation. So literally, we'll just be rotating the wrist in either direction. And I like to keep it quite flexible and open, pun intended. So literally, if you care to join in now. And we're just exploring really what this movement feels like in the wrist area, in the hand, in the arm. What do you notice about the movement? So I noticed, for example, that I can't actually do a full rotation without turning my sort of elbow and forearm round. So it's actually more of a complex movement than I perhaps realized. What's going on with the breath in your body at the moment? Or maybe you're holding your breath. Maybe you can't really feel or contact your breath. Sometimes I find my breath sort of falls into some sort of rhythm around the movement. Are you having any thoughts about this movement, about the duration of how long we're doing this for? Or any emotional responses? Maybe frustration or boredom? Maybe pleasure? Being given permission just to explore? Okay, so just gradually releasing the arm and just spending a moment or two just to see if there's any resonance or any sort of after effect from that movement in the body. So I'm just comparing my left arm with my right arm, and I know that my left arm definitely feels more sort of released. I'm a lot more aware of it. It feels a lot more vivid in my attention. So it's quite interesting. Okay, so the next movement, I'll just standing, and I'll just demonstrate it briefly. It's from I've googled this, Qigong. So it's not a chi or a ji apparently, it's the Qigong. So it's literally, and I'll just demonstrate, the raising of the hands and then gentle lowering. So by all means join in. Sometimes it's quite nice to imagine a ball of energy between your fingertips, between your palms. The Shri. Noticing your breath, what's happening with your breath. Your breath holding perhaps. Maybe your breath is synchronizing with the movement. I've just noticed that my voice has dropped, so that suggests to me that my voice, my breath is actually deeper, lower in my body now. It's actually quite very simple, but I'm just thinking, looking at you guys, it actually looks very beautiful. Can you feel this movement anywhere in your body? Okay, so we'll just do one more sequence, that. And then just allow the arms and the hands just to rest by the body. Maybe give them a gentle shake if you want to. And then just spend a moment or two just allowing that to absorb into your system and see what you notice, if anything. Okay, so we'll finish just with one more movement. I had a few more planned, but I think it's better to do fewer and just really go for the quality, not quantity thing. So I think it's called the 8 brocades. I think it's part of the 8 brocades, which is part of Qigong. So I'll just do a very quick demonstration. We're going to raise the hands and then we're going to push out. And I noticed that I softened my knees automatically when I pushed out. I'm going to bring the hands back. And this really does synchronize beautifully with the breath. So maybe an in-breath on the hands going up. That's it, great. Just joining in when you feel you're in the picture. Beautiful. And then bringing the hands back. So what we're doing here is we're following our own sort of natural breath as well. So we might not all be in sync. This isn't a sort of one of those classes, online classes, where we're all trying to be in sync. We could all be going at our own personal sort of individual rate, what feels right for us. So noticing the rest of the body, the jaw perhaps, the knees, the feet, shoulders, and then if you feel you just want to move your body in any way which feels right for you. How scary, permission just to do something that we're not being told to do. I still find that scary. So yeah, just go with it, just for a minute or so, just whatever you feel your body wants to do, what it needs. Flowing, gentle movements. Remembering to breathe. Keeping the body soft. And then just slowly allowing your arms to drop. Once again, just sensing into yourself and seeing if there's any resonance. Maybe you feel differently after doing these few short movements. Maybe you don't. It doesn't really matter if you're better or worse, it's just being aware. So just give yourself a moment just to see how you feel now. Okay, so that's the end of the mindful movements. Thank you, everyone. I think what we'll do is we'll just finish off. Maybe if people want to do a little share, I don't know if we maybe end the recording there. I think